church, we hear in the epistle about, shocker, controversies in the church, about people problems, stupid controversies, all these things mostly centered around the theme of division. Of course, this doesn't have to be in the church. We encounter these problems everywhere, regardless of whether it's politics or even if you like mustard or ketchup on your manicure. People fight over the silliest things. But in the church, we need to ask ourselves, what do we do, or rather, how do we respond when these problems do come? The answer we can find, actually, not only in the readings for today, but also in a feast coming up, the Feast of the Transfiguration on the 6th. In this feast, Christ takes his closest disciples. This is just before he goes to Jerusalem for his passion. He takes them up on a high mountain, and he reveals to them who he is. They experience him as pure light. And then they see the prophet Elias or Elijah and Moses speaking to him of the things to come. But if we think about it, Christ is not the one being transfigured here. Christ is illuminating the apostles to what the reality of Jesus Christ is already. He is showing to them, I have always been this. I am opening your eyes. And so the apostles, in a sense, are the ones being transfigured. And so when we encounter problems of division in the church, we need to look firstly, as any Christian ought, to oneself. The problem begins with me, and I am the one in need of transfiguration. All too often, people will take their issues with the church or people in the church, and they will say, I am the one who should transfigure the church. I am the one who should change the church. Even I'm the one who should exercise control in my parish, and so on and so forth. But this is the opposite way we need to look at it. Christ established the church for us. The church is meant to save us, not us save the church. Does that mean there aren't problems? No. Does that mean we should dismiss any sign of dysfunction or human selfishness? No. But it needs to begin with us. That is where the transfiguration must begin. And even if we undertake such a transfiguration, we can often fall into traps. We can grow closer to the church, but then use church as an instrument to, again, exercise control over others. Religion is one heck of a drug. Take it from someone who is a religious studies major and has studied religion and the people who follow them for close to 20 years. It is a heck of a drug. People can use the trappings of the church, the trappings of faith, and they can become worse than they were before. So again, what do? If we look to the reading of the gospel today, we can see Christ feeds a multitude of 5,000. Well, 5,000 men and their families. Those were counted at the time. Families were a single unit. So Christ is very well feeding up to 12,000 or so people in this story. But we notice the plain reading of the text says that all the people had to offer up were 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. The mystical tradition of the church, not in contradiction to, but in addition, adds another layer onto this story, that the 2 fishes are the law and the prophets, and the 5 loaves are the 4 gospels and the epistles. These are the scriptures. They nourish us on an individual level, but they cannot fully satisfy us by themselves. The ways of the church in isolation still cannot bring us out of division, cannot by themselves transfigure us. And so what's the common denominator in the gospel story? Christ. He takes those 5 loaves and those 2 fishes, and through his blessing makes it enough for everyone, to the point where there are 12 baskets left over. If we move closer to the church, in our seek to maybe not change it, but even to be changed by it, we can often leave Christ out of it. We, like the people in the story, need to be fed by him, need to have the humility to come to Christ, to come to his church and say, are there things that need to change? Yes. But I need you to feed me. We have to have the humility to be fed by the things of the church. Yes, by what Christ multiplies, the scriptures. We need to be aware of the scriptures. We need to daily study them. At least maybe a chapter a day, whatever you can do. We need to delve into the prayers of the church. We need to make some sort of time in our life for the things of God. Think of it this way. If you were, let's just say the government was going to arrest you for being a Catholic, and they were charging you, ask yourself, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Anyone can go to a church on Sunday. The government says stop going, okay, you stop going. Well, what else in your life points to the reality of this transfiguration that we're all after? If we can't think of anything, at least begin wherever we are able. And when we focus on ourselves in this way, divisions start to slowly disappear. And it doesn't become about me, them, us, them, all these different factions. But if we return to the basics and can simply pray, Lord Jesus, have mercy on me, the sinner. We tend to forget about our neighbor. We tend to forget about the things that annoy us. This is not only a struggle that we have once in our life, this is sometimes a daily and sometimes hourly struggle. So be patient with yourself. But we need to return again and again. If we have any hopes of transfiguring ourselves, and then afterwards, the church. But throughout everything, it must begin with us. And in closing, we shouldn't think that this feeding is far away from us. We don't have to wait home. We don't have to wait until we arrive home to begin to study the scriptures. We have already had them read in our midst today. We don't have to wait till we get home to pray. That's what we're doing right now. And we will not have to wait very long before God himself descends upon this altar and feeds us himself with himself, that we are fed by him. Let us prepare ourselves to receive him, to be transfigured by him, and then worry about others. Glory to Jesus Christ.